and I thought I was the bee's knees, and I think I found my feet after then. I just found the confidence which I lacked.
Ife? Oh, he's still there, dear. Well, fantastic. Hello.
If I hadn't gone to the grammar school, I don't think the expectation, maybe my mindset, maybe the opportunities, there's a whole number of things that might not have been there that in the grammar school I just took as read, really.
Grammar schools had a massive impact on our nation's social makeup. In post-war Britain, they scooped up the brightest children and moved them on up.
The world was your oyster. Going to the grammar school, that was your pathway to achieving and to a successful career.
How you weren't supposed to be coming tonight?
It wasn't just about facts and lessons. Grammar school children were encouraged to believe in themselves.
I did an honours degree in geology, and then I went on to do a master's degree in ecology.
I graduated from the Royal College of Music in Manchester. I went straight on to Glyndebourne, and that was the start of my operatic career.
These were the lucky ones, but there was a downside.
For every 11-year-old that got into grammar school, 3 others were rejected. Selection so young was pretty brutal. Now, the comprehensives that replaced them were intended to give all children the belief that they could flourish, but did they?
What makes me, I suppose, sad and angry in equal measure is what I call the not for the likes of me syndrome, where I talk to groups of kids and they say, well, maybe I could become a doctor, but that's not really for the likes of me, or maybe I could become a journalist, but that's not really for the likes of me.
Alan Milburn's home territory, the North East, has the lowest proportion of graduates in Britain. He believes a lot of young people here set their sights low because they have no experience of people reaching the professions.
What ideally would you all like to do when you left school? Well, acting. What about the rest of you?
Same.
You all want to be actors?
Yeah.
Do you think it's possible for somebody from around here, from a very ordinary type of background, do you think it's possible for somebody to get to the top?
Yeah.
You do? You're optimistic about it?
Yeah. Cheryl Cole did.
Cheryl Cole? Yeah.
If you've got the ability, it doesn't matter where you live.
What's the hardest thing? What stands in the way of people?
It's the people thinking, well, because you're from that area, then you're not as good as someone from that area. So you just have to get past those stereotypes and then you can do anything.
Have you all had careers advice or not yet? Have you had?
Yeah.
And what was that like? Was it?
Yeah.
Was it not very good?
No.
So did anybody ever discuss with you going into like a professional job? You know, like becoming a journalist, medicine, the law, accountancy, architecture? Nobody ever discussed that with you? And what do you think about those sort of professions?
You know that lawyers get a lot of money and stuff, but you know that they argue in court and stuff, but you don't know that much about it. You don't know that, like, the things that actually make lawyers want to be lawyers. If you don't know much about it, you can't really, you can't express an interest in it.
You're asking a hell of a lot of children if you want to say, please have very high aspirations, because if the children have got any sense, they realise that their chances are incredibly low. And so, in effect, only very misguided children will think, I can become a pop star, I can become a top footballer, I can become a barrister.
Most parents do want the best for their kids, but some can provide more support than others.
Look, I'm not bothered about people having sharp elbows and strong voices. Some people have that and some people don't. And actually, what we want, if you like, is more people with middle-class attitudes trying to do the best for their kids, absolutely. But some people just don't have those opportunities.
There's an enormous amount of middle-class family labour and money and effort that goes into making up the middle-class child as artistic, musical, cultured, and all these accomplishments really count in their favour when they're applying for jobs and moving into the labour market.
Miranda is our driven child. Out of the 4 children that we have, she's good at maths, she's good at English, she's good at just about anything. She is very modest, actually. She's not pushy, she's not a show-off. She's just one of those kids that she knows what she wants and she'll get it. About 4 years ago, she said she wanted to be a heart surgeon.
Today, Miranda is starting a new school, the private King's in Gloucester. Although her 3 siblings all go to state schools, Miranda's parents have decided an independent school will suit her better.
What is it that you want Miranda to be like, the things that will make her as a person after she's completed her schooling here?
What I want her to be like is like me at the age that I am now. It's taken this long to get to be confident and be able to talk to anyone. I think she's got it in her. She's reasonably shy at times, but she's got it in her to have those interpersonal skills.
The fees at King's Cathedral School are £12,000 a year. That's middle of the range for a private education.
What do you get for your money? What does a parent get for their money?
Oh, where do I begin? I mean, you get a first-rate academic education with every chance of gaining top A-level grades and getting in most cases, to the university of your choice. But there's so much more. I mean, the extracurricular program here is vast, and definitely the kids have that shine of confidence about them when they leave the school. You can see that very, very clearly.
I very much hope that you had a good holiday. It was, of course, a very busy holidays for some. And at this point, I'd just like to mention the sporting tour of the Barbados. It seems to have gone extremely well, very much a job well done.
Just about. Super. Thank you. Okay. What would you like, Mrs. Evans?
You've got 5 children here now.
Yeah.
You have 8 children.
I know.
That's an enormous amount of money.
It's an investment. I mean, we give up lots of things to send our children here. We don't have the holidays that I would like. I don't have the nice car that I would like. I drive a bus. And I think that this school in particular has that ability to make my children the sort of children I want them to be when they grow up into teenagers and adults.
Do you have any guilt about paying a lot of money to get your son a very lucky start, fortunate start?
No, I'm just grateful I can, I guess. I suppose we're paying twice, because we're paying here and still paying in our taxes, but that's the way it is.
One of my daughters wants to be a marine biologist, so she goes down to Southampton. One wants to go into space, so she's going to go in for Cambridge.
Are you already thinking that this is a good school in terms of getting them into a profession? Is that one of the reasons that you...
Yeah, definitely. If you give them a good start, they will flourish and they will maybe, hopefully, find out what they want to do quicker than I did, really.
More than 200 miles north, in Darlington, Jordan Reed is about to start his new school, Longfield Secondary. His parents are proud he's a bright lad, but have firm views about how far his education should go.
I don't want them to be going out and having to get loans and things to get through university and be in quite a lot of debt at the end of it. It's not, to me, it's not a way to start a life once you do get your job. It's just a burden around your neck, really.
So to go to university, from your point of view, is a kind of gamble.
Yeah.
When you do get through it, what experience have you got? None. But to start working at a job, learning as a train, and get experience at the same time.
Have fun. Bye. See you, Mum.
Jordan's going to the local comprehensive.
I thought my mum would have been crying or something, like happy, proud crying or something like that.
Yeah. Okay, very smart. Are you looking forward to this then?
He's lucky because Longfield is an improving school. In the past 5 years, it has doubled the number of pupils it sends on to sixth form college, to 80%.
What is it that you do differently here to perhaps other state schools?
At Longfield, we focus on the development of their life skills as well as their academic skills.
Why? Why do you do that?
Just because in the 5 years that they're here, it's really important to us that they leave with a good group of qualifications, but it's also important that we prepare them for their post-16 education, for when they go to college, when they go on to university, for the jobs that they may choose to select. These are the skills that employers look for, so it's not just our job to look after them for 5 years, we have to look after them from when they leave Longfield as well.
And then remember, you're recording all of your personal achievements.
A child at this state school will have spent on their education, on average, a quarter of what is spent on the education of a child at a private school. So when there is this big gap in resources, how can a young person leaving this school expect to compete in the job market with a kid from a private school down the road?
Of course, it would be wrong to suggest a bright child from a poor background can't enter the professions. But it can be a long and difficult journey. Georgina Jones is from Peckham in South London. She lives in a council flat with her family, and for 20 years she had a room not quite big enough for 2 beds with her sister. Georgina's father died when she was 13. By her own admission, she went off the rails. Until then, she'd been doing well at school.
And that year I'd lost my focus, was quite an angry child, so I started to get a bit disruptive in my classes. And the teacher who was in charge of the kids sort of with more behavioural sort of issues, he took me under his wing and sort of mentored me in a way to sort of bring me, I don't know, back to normal sort of thing.
Georgina wanted a better life for herself and her mum, a school dinner lady. She decided to aim for a top professional job.
Chinese style chops. You got the chicken ready to go in here?
No, I'm going to season it first. Okay. I knew that I wouldn't be able to do a job that I enjoyed or to earn the sort of salary that I wanted to earn to live a sort of more comfortable life, really, without having a degree. None of my mum's friends or family were university educated or were involved in any of the professions, so I think she was quite worried that that would be quite a big hurdle. What are you having with your chops?
I'm going to have chips and coleslaw.
Chips are bad for you. We even have separate oil. She said it was a different world. Growing up, she'd often say things sort of like that. How the other half live, or it's a different world.
All parents want the best for their children, but working class parents often really lack the know-how of how to support their children in